So, am I racist? That's a question I think we all need to ask ourselves. A helpful process, I think, is not to think in terms of yes or no, am I racist? But I think it's helpful to look and ask ourselves, how do we view the world? Do we view the world in black and white? Do we view the world in color? Do we view the world in high def? People who view the world in black and white are kind of like people who see those 1930s cowboy movies where the good guys wore the white hats, the bad guys wore the black hats. And that kind of black and white thinking, white good, black bad, leads to all sorts of things. It's led to lynching, to cross burnings, to discrimination, to a couple of Georgia police officers beating up a black college student during a traffic stop. People who view the world as black and white, they ignore the scriptures where all people are created in the image of God. They ignore the scriptures where Paul says there is no Jew or Greek, slave or free, male or female. There's no racial discriminations. There's no class discriminations. Is that everybody is included. They would have to ignore the scriptures like the Ethiopian man who became a follower of Jesus centuries and before anybody in Europe became a Christian. You have to ignore all of that black and white thinking. So how about in color? People who view the world in color view everybody as valuable. They see the colors and differences and even celebrate the colors and differences. They would never be caught saying racial slurs or telling racial jokes. People who view the world in color believe everybody is equal, created in the image of God. From Genesis 1, that everybody, so they view the world that way. But then there's high def. And just like our TVs, I believe that Quentin is shooting this in high def, and maybe you've seen it on your screen. But high def, you see the details. That is so much better than standard TV and the old big tubes. And high def, you see more clearly. One of the ways that I began to see in high def was there's a college student from the local college who emailed me and said, hey, could we meet to talk? And she is a young black woman from Chicago, and she is struggling in Kansas. She was struggling in Kansas because there was no support, and it was almost a safety issue. In Chicago, she was telling me, if she walked into a 7-Eleven and the clerk followed her around to make sure she wouldn't steal or break anything, she went home to her friends and her family and she told that story of what happened in the store. And they all knew to avoid that store. And in that way, by sharing the stories of their experiences, they created a safe place. Everybody knew the stories so that they could go to places where they were respected, where they were treated well. In Kansas, she only had her white, small town Kansas teammates were her friends. They'd never experienced having somebody follow them around a store because of the color of their skin. When she told me that story, I realized, how much privilege I have because I've got lighter skin and the advantages that I've had and the discrimination that I haven't faced because of that. That's seen in high def, beginning to realize that even if I am not racist, I do live in a racist culture. So, am I racist? I was raised in a home not to view the world as black and white. I was raised to view the world as in color. But I am just beginning to see in high def. I hope this is helpful as you explore what's going on inside your heart and your culture. Thanks.